Hey, welcome to Thursday night at the Cyberdeck Cafe. Tonight we've got Jordan and Riskable joining us. Let's bring you guys in. Jordan, hey, how you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's bring Riskable in.
Hey there.
There we go.
Hey.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Good. I like both of your studios. I gotta put more color in mine.
Yeah, maybe a little picture back there, poster.
How you guys doing? What are you guys working on?
I wish my studio was that clean. It's a little bit of a mess back there. Actually,
you all can't really see it, but here I'm working off of my kitchen table. That's my studio.
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
I gotta upgrade.
All right, so tonight is our first Thursday night stream. We're gonna keep this thing going, hopefully every week, but at least a couple times a week. And no real format or time limit on it. Just however much time you guys got, and we've got a couple more people joining us in a little bit too.
Nice.
You asked what I was working on. This is what I worked on today. It's not going to focus, but it's a low-profile version of my Switch.
Oh, nice.
You see the difference.
Oh yeah, that's huge
in size. So the stem, I actually made some math mistakes, so it's a little too long, but that doesn't matter. It still works. It just doesn't go all the way down. But it's just a matter of shortening that, getting the math right on it. But what's interesting is it's hard to see, but that's a 1 millimeter thick magnet. So normally I use a 2 millimeter thick, and that's a 1 millimeter thick N52. And it's actually quite strong. It's probably too strong. I did this as a test to see just how strong it was, because I was like, well, if I shrink everything down, is it going to be too weak? But it's actually ridiculous. It's actually ridiculously strong. So,
how does it compare then to the magnets you normally use?
Well, the magnets I normally use are N35 magnets, and they're crap. They're the cheapest magnets you can get from AliExpress. I bought like a 2,000 pack of them. And they're N35s.
Like $5 on Ali.
Yeah, they were like $10. Yeah. And they're supposed to be 4x2 millimeters, but they're actually 1.75 millimeters. So 1.7 millimeters. So not only are they really weak, they're actually smaller in tolerance than they're supposed to be, which makes them even weaker. But they actually,
so they're not as strong. So they're not as strong as the 1 millimeter magnet.
That's right. This 1 millimeter magnet is an N52, and it's probably I couldn't tell you how much. It's much, much stronger than those N35s that I'm using in these switches. But that comes out to be about 60 grams of force with no magnet gap. So the gap is the distance, or how much material goes above the magnet here. I know it's blurry, but so there's a little bit of material that holds the magnet on the top and the bottom. And the magnet gap just adds plastic to the top of the magnet. So its initial starting position is a little bit lower than it would be normally. And the strength of a magnet is controlled by how close it is to another magnet or something that's magnetic, right? So if you start it just a little bit further away, it's got just that much less force. So in the SCAD script, you can control how strong the switch is by just changing that magnet gap. And the smallest I can get it on a 0.4 millimeter nozzle is about 0.5 millimeter. But if I could get it smaller, I could make it even stronger. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of.
So it's parametric.
About half of that, but it looks very cool.
Yeah, that's what's in this keyboard right now. These nice. 3D printed
You're trying
switches.
to get more uniform, more I guess flat is the goal.
No, it's meant to be parametric, so you can pick your. So some people like really strong switches, and some people like weak switches.
Oh,
right? So
okay.
Before you make your keyboard, you can just pick out the switches. You pick your magnet gap, and you pick the amount of travel that you want. And if you pick a short amount of travel on a short magnet, you can make a low profile switch like that.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a force gauge so you could actually figure out the
I
resistance.
do, but I haven't had time to measure this one. I just printed it out a little while ago, so I'll get there.
Maybe you could make like a chart with the full, the different gaps and how it relates to the force.
I've got many charts like that.
Yeah.
For all sorts of different magnets and different prototypes too, because over time the design changed slightly.
Nice.
But that's what I was working on today.
Well, I do really like that keyboard. That's a really cool keyboard.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And I'm all out of Oreos. I ate them all, but that's my Oreo cookie holder. That goes right. So, and this is parametric too, so you can pick as many cookies as you want. If you wanted like 100 cookies, you can make it super duper tall.
Nice.
And there's 4 accessory ports over here to plug that in. And there's 2 over here, so that means you could have 6 times 4 of these to hold even more cookies.
So just a mountain of cookies as you work. You never have to leave the table.
Yeah, but the real problem is that
let me cut
it
you off
doesn't
here
feed
for
you
a
automatically.
Second. Captain Yiggs has joined us, and I'm going to bring him into the stream.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Nice shirt.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome in. We're just getting things going.
Cool. I don't have an echo or anything, do I? It just occurred to me I should probably get some headphones or something.
There's no echo.
Yeah, it actually sounds all right.
How's everything going?
It's going. Thursday night, the week's almost over.
Yeah. I'm tackling a project that's slowly driving me mad, but I'll eventually crack it. So.
What is it?
I'm trying to add like gesture control to my Cyberdeck, and because I've got a Bluetooth keyboard right now, which isn't bad, except you're wearing goggles, so you're kind of blind while you do it. There we go. So you're kind of blind while you do it, and I don't like that. So I'm trying to make it so your hands are the actual mouse and keyboard. But my the MPU chip I'm using for the gyroscope to make like a gesture mouse isn't working the way I want it to.
I can see that. What are you doing about the tactile feedback?
I'm thinking tilt switches, but I'm not quite there yet. I need just a general air mouse before I start doing them with the fingers.
I used to have this keyboard called the Fingerworks Touchstream LP. I still have it. It's in the attic. But it was a touch. It was like one of the first multi-touch devices ever. And Apple bought that company so that they could get their patents. And that went into the first iPhone, the first multi-touch displays. So that's where that comes from, that keyboard. But that keyboard was the best mouse I ever owned. And it had all these gestures and cool things you could do with it. Like if you held your right hand down on the one side of the keyboard and then dragged your fingers across the other, it would move the text cursor instead of the mouse cursor. And it was so fast. Like say you made a mistake in your typing, it was so fast to go back to that one little character and fix it that when you're normally typing, you just hit backspace a zillion times.
Right.
But with that keyboard, you just get the hang of it. You can go right to the character in like a split second, fix it, and then go right back to the end of the line and continue typing. It was really cool feature, but it was actually kind of a terrible keyboard because there was no tactile feedback, right? So you couldn't tell if you'd touched a key, so you'd type really kind of slowly, right?
Yeah.
It's just like tapping on a desk, but you don't know if you hit the right key, unless you see it right there in front of you.
That kind of sounds like the swipe keyboard on the phone. It's a great idea, but it gets the words wrong so often, it doesn't save you any time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a factor too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar.
There's going to be a lot of trial and error with this.
But yeah, if that keyboard had some sort of like tactile feedback, like even if it just shocked my finger a little bit, like that would let me know that I actually hit that key, I think that would have been like the perfect keyboard.
I mean, maybe some resistance would be nice on there. Like you bend it and it lets you know like you've bent too far, and so it just goes up at that point.
Yeah, and the key is too, you need to be able to tell that you hit the H key instead of the J, right?
Right.
So if you could have like a tactile feedback of some sort that feels a little different for those two different keys, That would be ideal.
That would be cool. That would be nice.
And the human finger can detect the most subtle changes. So if you just change, so if you say you had like a little piezo element on there that just vibrated at a very low frequency. So forget like haptic feedback with like a motor that spins around with a heavy screw on it. Forget that. That's like you don't even need that much. If you just put a little piezo on the end and made it like buzz at a very, very low speed, you could actually feel that on your fingertip. And you could assign a different buzz to every single character.
Yeah. And that would solve the problem because you only got the 10 fingers and you had to do 26 characters plus, space and all that we'd be able to just mentally tell. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I actually thought of that a long time ago. It's something I always wanted to try. I don't know how well it will work, but I did the research on it, and it should, in theory, be decent. If you just take I just got a shipment of buzzers, but if you just take them apart, there's all that's in there is just this tiny little thin film that you could put in like a little glove.
Right, the thing it's got to be able to fit on like your finger comfortably.
Yeah. Did you guys see the shocking keyboard someone made?
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually a good idea. I mean, to teach you to type, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, this one actually looked kind of good. I've seen this done a few times before, but it was mostly like more of a prank. This actually seems useful, using the negative feedback to improve your typing skills.
Well, I've got the positive feedback thing down.
For every line of code, you get an Oreo.
Yeah. I just need to motorize it and have it feed you directly. Like it's just like an arm that just comes up and puts it right in your mouth.
Now we're into like Wall-E territory.
I mean, if you blend it first and put it in a straw.
Well, that's not as fun.
Yeah, just fruit it into your face.
If it was a shake, maybe, like a cookies and cream shake. There we go.
Connected
the
to
buzzer idea sounds almost like learning to type through music. If you'd have to assign like a different frequency to each key, was that what you're talking about? Sounds like it have
I mean,
it's the same idea, but you wouldn't hear it, you'd feel it.
Right.
Without that shell around the buzzer, the piezo element doesn't really make much sound at all. You wouldn't think that would matter, but it actually makes a big difference. But you can feel it. Like if you put your finger on it while it's vibrating, I recommend trying it. Tear one apart. They were like, 5 cents each. It's worth experimenting with.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pack my glove full of things in order to get to work the way I want, to completely replace a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, but I always imagine you see that Ready Player One movie, and in that movie he's got he puts these haptic gloves on, and he's typing in the virtual reality, and I'm like, that wouldn't work.
Yeah,
I've tried stuff like that.
That VR in that movie just it doesn't make sense. Like, does he feel what's happening? Because he acts as if when he gets punched in the game, but he's just wearing like a shitty VR headset with no feedback.
Well, in the book, they put on these full haptic outfits that could poke and prod you anywhere, basically. And it goes over your whole head and your face and whatever. And then the gloves had extra sensitive ones.
Right, which they have those suits when he breaks into the guy's office later and steals the other guy's VR system.
Yeah. So in theory, that should work. But I was skeptical. But then I thought about it quite a lot. And I was like, well, maybe if you put little piezos in there or something and you could feel that you hit the right key, then it might be able to work. But if they were all the same feeling, you wouldn't be typing accurately.
Maybe at least the F and J starting positions.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. How do you home?
Oh yeah, or Control Alt Delete is going to be.
I can think of ways to do this. Like if it vibrates just the right way, you're on home. Or just have a little procedure where you home it yourself, where you just tap your fingers and then you can start.
See, now my favorite input is just a standard keyboard and mouse, and not try and do you really want to type while you're walking? While you're blinded because you're wearing a VR headset and you're walking somewhere where you can't see, do you also want to be typing while you do that?
That depends. Can I offload the task of walking to a subsystem?
Riding on a Segway?
Just let me do Google Maps for my body and just have plug in a destination, and then I can disconnect and go play a game.
I suppose you could be driving on a Segway that drives itself.
Now you're thinking. That's good.
Right.
But then again,
everybody else has that too, because otherwise traffic is going to completely disagree.
Do you guys watch Void Star Labs? Zach?
Yeah.
On the screen. Did you see his glove he made where he was doing gesture motion recognition?
That's
to
inspiration for my thing. Yeah, that's what gave me the idea.
Yeah, that was the first thing of his I saw. I think that was the one he put up like 4 years ago, his first version of the glove.
Wow. I guess he must use something besides TensorFlow for that then, or
I think that
way back then. I know the new version uses it.
Yeah, he put TensorFlow into a Teensy and let it run that way. Last I heard.
So I have my own gesture recognition plans, and that is an actual gesture recognition sensor.
Oh, cool.
I haven't opened it. I need to cut the bag. I'm not going to bother. There's not much to see.
Is that like a flex bend sensor?
Well, you know what? Okay. Brute force works sometimes. Let's have a look at this thing. So this is a little infrared gesture sensor. I turned off the autofocus.
Decently small.
But yeah, what that is just a little infrared LED and a little sensor that goes right next to it. It's not off focusing, but whatever. You get the idea. It's a little black package. On one side is a LED, very, very tiny LED, and the other one's a little sensor. And the way this works is it's only got so many gestures that it recognizes, but just to give you an example, like it can detect when you rotate your finger at it clockwise or counterclockwise. It can tell the difference. And it can also detect this motion, left, right, up, down, and I think that's it.
So that's like a magic leap then.
Yeah, kind of. But you can actually, my plan was to first get this one working and then order another one. And that way I got to put it down to demonstrate. That way I can do gestures like this, hands together, hands apart, stuff like
well,
I was going to put one on either side of the keyboard.
Minority Report, right? He had he did the 3 fingers on each for the gestures.
Yeah. This thing's not that sophisticated, but it can, I can do 2-handed motions and then separate them. And I think that could actually be pretty useful for things like sequences and things like that. Like when I want in my broadcast, I can just do a hand wave, and then that sends the keystroke that ends the broadcast, or scene transitions. Like let's change scenes. And then it recognizes my hand gesture. I think that would be wicked. Cool.
I mean, finger gestures can be very useful when trying to convey a certain kind of message.
Yeah, I'm in my head, I'm imagining this wonderfully choreographed routine, but in reality, it's probably gonna be like I'm trying to swim across a pool or something.
You'll need an option for sneeze detection and itching detection, so you don't just disconnect from the stream by moving real quick.
Well, I stopped there. We can truly automate things. Like, are your balls itchy? You have one down there, so it detects the hand coming down and it temporarily pauses your stream, right?
There's some people that could use that and forget to put pants on.
Yeah.
Have it detect when you stand up, so it automatically cuts the feed because people keep going on live without pants and stupid things like that.
We could make a fortune with wireless ones for baseball players. So that the camera can auto cut to someplace else when they need to.
Blur out everybody scratching their balls and lose 6 players at once.
So
denial of service.
When you were joining in here, I saw you had your Cyberdeck before we brought you on.
Oh yeah.
Care to?
Oh, cool.
Neat.
Yeah, it's such a crazy honor to be on here and to win in the competition. So thanks everybody.
Yeah, that was a good build, and you met all of the requirements.
Cool. Yeah, I always wanted the handle on here. I was hoping that would meet the aluminum requirement. So it is definitely aluminum.
Yeah, it was good. Put it back up to the screen a bit so we can see it.
I love that switch on the side.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I've had that in my toolbox for 15 years. gonna be perfect for something, you know?
I know, right? It's like you never can decide what to put it on because it's so good.
Yeah, I've got tons of stuff like that. I've got a bunch of arcade buttons that I bought a long time ago that I'm just waiting for the right project.
It's a
Yeah,
nice
same.
paint job too.
What's that?
I like your paint job.
Oh, thanks. It's all just different filament colors.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
It's not even
I was
painted. That's cool.
Maybe I should paint it and weather it or something, but I haven't gotten around to it.
It looks like it's right out of Ben 10.
They had some good wearable tech in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wish that the animation style wasn't quite as, aimed at such a young audience, because
I
the
know.
stories themselves and the characters and stuff are actually very good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
My kids watched that, but the animation was too kiddish. You're right.
Yeah. It was unique too on that one was they age the characters throughout each season, whereas most shows are perpetually the same age for 20 years of airing. So you actually age all the way through, and then I think the last season, or maybe the last couple seasons, they jump back to a prequel from before everything else and kind of start over again,
Interesting.
which is actually pretty involved for a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it is actually.
That watch, though, that's some cool wearable tech. Imagine if you could just sample DNA and become something else.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be really cool.
Well,
Did they have
I always
another-
wondered what he turned into this creature that has like 4 arms. Like, what does it feel like to have extra appendages? Like, can you even control them independently with a human
Or-
brain? You know?
When you don't have them anymore, and you now feel like you've lost your limbs.
Yeah, like you go, like I could imagine myself getting used to that, and like something comes at my face, I wave it away with this arm, but then it's not there, so it just hits me in the face once I'm back to normal.
You'd think there'd be a learning curve with that too, or even once you had it down, it's like, am I a 8-legged thing today or a 6-legged?
Well, you go back to being human. It's literally disarming you.
Well, all right, guys, I gotta go, but I will join next week or in a couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Come back
Thank you.
and show the headset too. Your wearable Pi computer.
Yeah. Here, do you want me to do it now or next time?
I mean, yeah, give us a preview.
Okay. So let me plug it in real quick. So I think I briefly mentioned it. It's a Raspberry Pi up front, and I added the Pi camera to it now.
Nice.
And then it's a it's loading. Go on.
Does that sticker say "Eat Sleep Code"?
Yeah. Bought a bunch of stickers from Amazon. And then I got a full Raspberry Pi
okay.
OS.
So it's a
Nice.
single display with the Fresnel lens.
Yeah.
Nice. I
It's,
was thinking it was a dual.
Huh?
I was thinking it was a dual type, like the headsets you use with your phone, but that's more like the FPV headset.
Yeah, this is strictly designed for FPV originally, and that just seemed to make the most sense. I didn't want to deal with like virtual reality glasses and splitting the screen and doing all this, and I just needed it magnified. I've watched a couple movies on there, like you get Netflix and stuff, and it's insane. Like I watched Total Recall on there, and that's crazy. It's like being up front at a movie theater.
Oh,
Are you
you
sure
know
you
what?
watched Total Recall and didn't just have that memory of doing it injected into your head?
Exactly.
But like I said, that like you've got the this is it on, right? So I mean, it's really tricky to type.
You know what? I got a movie recommendation for you. Watch Hardcore Henry in the VR headset. The entire movie is first-person view.
That would be
Cool.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try
I've
that.
done it, and it's awesome. You're in it. You're in the movie.
Okay, I gotta try that.
And that's what it was made for. It was going to get released in 3D, but they basically didn't get the funding for it. But it was actually recorded in 3D. So somewhere, someone has the 3D version of this because it was recorded on 2 cameras side by side. They're actually mounted to the guy's head that worked as basically the cameraman and the gimbal. He was also the lead actor in it, but wearing the camera. So the view really is like right where the guy would see. So you can only find the 2D version, but somewhere there's a 3D one somewhere out there.
That would be insane. Yeah. All right, that's next. So,
but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Is it?
It's not very long either.
It's actually good. It looked like an exciting concept.
It's actually good. I mean, if you like kind of middle budget sci-fi movies, then I'd say you'll probably like this one. You know, it's not as bad as a lot of them, and it's definitely not as good as some.
Hey, in your headset there, did you have to replace the screen, or did you find one that had a good HDMI screen built in?
Oh, it didn't come with the screen, actually. So all I did was I used the Pi screen for it and just mounted it with I don't know if you guys can see, it's super glue. Yeah, with the camera. There we go. It's super glue tape, actually, and that did the trick.
Neat.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, it's made on the cheap. I want to polish it, get it looking much nicer. But for what it is, it's good. It's a good prototype.
Yeah, cool. Well, when you're back on next week, then let's dig into it in some more detail.
Yeah, you got it. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.
You too. Later. Hey, James. Welcome in.
What's up? Does everything work?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool.
So, we just had Jay Brands on. He actually was supposed to be with us during Virtcon, but just didn't make it into the stream. So we'll bring him back on though for a little more in depth into that wearable he made. It's a pretty cool setup, and it sounds like he's making a full-on gesture mouse, air mouse, which definitely want to see that one.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear the rest of that. I think that's going to be my next project. I'm actually using a Pi 4 FPV flying and wanted to build a whole kind of like rigger's rig around that.
Is the Pi the actual controller board on the quad?
It can be. Mostly it's just the transmitter for HD video.
So you send that over Wi-Fi and...
Yeah, it's a modified Wi-Fi connection. OpenHD is the name of the project. So it sets it to a mode where there's not like a direct connection from like client to client. It just broadcasts it to anybody who's picking it up. So,
cool.
So it never like drops frames or anything. If something happens to the connection, it just keeps broadcasting.
And does that lower the overhead too? Like give you better latency and stuff, having no encryption?
I think so. It's still not great. It's like a tenth of a second right now, which doesn't seem like a lot. But you can kind of feel it, but it's okay for like cruising around with airplanes and stuff. But I definitely need to consolidate the build instead of having to set up a tripod with the Pi ground station on it and having everything tethered to me. I think
yeah, I've done a bit of FPV flying. It's pretty fun. I don't have anything too great built at the moment. I've got my old Parrot AR drone and a couple little quadcopters with some cheapo Wi-Fi cameras on them. But then I've got this box of parts for a quadcopter or tricopter. Hadn't really decided. Ordered them from Hobby King a long time ago and then just never assembled it. The plan was for a 3D printed frame. My problem was I just couldn't figure out the MMU that it came with. It was just, I don't know, poorly documented. I don't actually remember. I don't remember which one it is. I have them all in the box still. And yeah, it just couldn't figure out the firmware on it, all the configuration. It was just like, didn't have the hours to dig into it.
Every month, everything changes in that hobby. So you might just want to throw that flight controller in the trash and just see what the new stuff is now.
Yeah, more or less. Probably hang on to the controller and everything else. And I saw recently another flight controller. It was like 1 gram compared to the 30 grams of the one that I've got.
Yeah, no, probably closer to 10 grams, I guess, is pretty common. But yeah, they're definitely getting more capable and easier to use and cheaper too. So a lot of the more kind of not quite open source, but like kind of community made designs are starting to support all the cool autopilot softwares and everything now. Pretty neat.
Yeah, I figured one of these newer controllers can probably do the tricopter functions a little better. Because this one's been a few years. What are you flying?
I fly a DJI drone for work, and then I have an assortment of things I fly for fun. I think you can see the wingtip of it. There's one of it's one of my plane projects that's fully autonomous.
Oh, that's huge.
My favorite one is a flying wing that I totally 3D printed, but it's in another room.
You say behind you, that's the wingtip on the wall?
Oh yeah, sorry, I had the camera up. That's one of my planes. That's been
nice.
My test model.
Foam wing.
Like 20 times, and each time the nose snaps off, but a little bit of foam glue and goes back together again.
Yeah, is that thing just a full foam core wing and some taped on skin?
Yeah, or like iron on.
Yeah.
They say it helps, so I did it. And it's
Nice.
got some carbon fiber rods going through a couple parts of it just to stiffen it up. Yeah, that was one that I kind of learned. I've been using Arju Pilot, if you've ever heard of that. It started with Arduinos, and now it's kind of grown on, and you can do all kinds of cool, like autonomous flight and assisted flight with it. And so that's been my test rig that I learned a lot of stuff on, and has all the Band-Aids to prove it.
Yeah, my first RC was a glider with about 7-foot wingspan, and that thing was just fun to fly. You had to do like the rubber band launch. You had like a 75-foot surgical tubing catapult for it. That thing would get up there, and you'd have to just catch the updrafts and get lucky on that, and you could stay up for about 20-30 minutes. Typical flight times are about 10 to 15 though.
That's awesome. You just did it like line of sight?
Yeah, just line of sight. There was no FPV yet, and you don't have to worry about batteries because you're only controlling the servos, so you're good for the entire day or a couple days really. Yeah, that thing was fun. I had it for a long time, kept it up in the rafters too after I crashed it too many times for it to fly anymore. But didn't save it on my last move, unfortunately.
7 foot though? Holy shit.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, about 7 foot even. The wings split in the middle, so at least you could transport it.
You said that was your first one? That seems intimidating. Start on something that huge.
I mean, it flew so easy though. Like, it was just slow, nice, casual flyer. Any movement you put on the controls, and you barely got any response out of the plane. So you didn't really have to worry about it too much. Really, the worst crashes it had was when my dad would try and fly it and just nosedive the thing. But the front end on it would just snap in half and glue it up with some CA glue, and you're flying again 10 minutes later.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I wish I'd had FPV for it at the time because when it was large, it could handle a lot of weight on it. It would have been great for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that
Where
the
people
first-
have been setting up autonomous flight on those so that they'll automatically chase thermals. Like it'll note where it's getting uplift and then try to go back to that spot over and over again.
That's crazy. That's way too much automation. I'd rather be behind the stick on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go. Riskable's back in.
Yeah. That was weird.
You were here and then you weren't.
So this is kind of neat. What do you think of this? I'm using OBS to broadcast to a video for Linux loopbox device, which
Maybe that's why
which
it's
has been
skipping.
piped into StreamYard.
You're skipping frames quite a lot.
Let me fix that. Hold on. Maybe a little better. No. Yeah, it needs some work. But I can switch. I mean, yeah, it like has these pauses. Look at that. But I'll figure it out eventually. But I thought I'd give it a try. Lets me do the scene transitions and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
So, James, have you seen the Redbubble listing yet for the shirt you designed?
I think just the day of. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
I'm afraid to type because I've got like blue switches.
It doesn't matter. You can always mute yourself too if you want.
I'm not sure how.
Should be right on the interface that you're looking at.
Oh.
Should just say mute, stop cam, and camera settings.
Yeah, I got it.
Right on the bottom. Yeah, I do it sometimes, but we all have mechanical keyboards. It's noisy. What can you do?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can share the screen without ending this stream. Too many tabs. There we go. The automated system there. Yeah, there it is. Looking at it, you can probably tell I made a couple adjustments to it. It wasn't showing up quite right for the t-shirt interface. It gives you a preview and you get a really good idea of what's going to actually look like. So I just applied a few filters in GIMP until enough of the detail would show in the preview, and colored in the Cyberdeck cafe there a couple times because it didn't really stand out, but I liked that outline look too, so kept it interlacing. That VR headset too, I love how it looks like an owl. Like it just immediately makes me think of like a robot owl.
Yeah, that's not particularly mine. That's found.
Yeah, found a little borrowed.
Yeah.
Modified. I was actually wondering, how did you do the detail on this? Like when you zoom in on it, the drawing is right down to like the last pixel. There's still detail in the lines.
Yeah, it's like Siemens NX. I don't know if you're familiar with that program.
No, what is that?
It's just like a CAD program. I just like designed the whole thing pretty much just like normally and exported it as big as it would do it, like 16,000 pixels or something.
So 3D model and then did like a wireframe export.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. So do you have the 3D model of that case?
Yeah, but it's all like chopped up weird to make like the line view kind of weird to make like the line view look good. I had to
Okay.
like cut out stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering how you pulled that off because it was like just kept zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. It was like there's no end to this detail on this, which I wish could show like on the T-shirt. I was thinking of maybe just doing like a crop in of one section of it and putting that like in the corner of the design with like like the little bubble kind of showing over where that section is from. So people could really see the detail in it.
Yeah. It exports that way. It's like it exports it like a gig.
Oh man, yeah, I don't even have a good internet connection here, so some of the contest entries, they were just like 3 GB, and it's like I can't. Like this is gonna take me and uploaded to Windows Live, Windows cloud storage. It was running at like 100 kilobits a second, and that would have taken days to finish.
Yeah, it takes like 10 minutes just to open it on my computer.
Yeah, I don't exactly have the most killer gaming rig here, so yeah, it's one of the reasons we're doing live instead of just recording these ahead of time. All that editing and everything. No thanks. I don't got time to wait for that to export. Looks like Riskable's out for the night. He said goodbye in the private chat. Later, have you on whenever you want next time. What we got here, 847. So, James, you had a chance to unpack the printer yet?
Yeah, I did the little guy.
Oh, the tiny deck print.
Yeah, I don't even. The little 1/10 scale.
Here, hold that up for the camera.
Oh, nice.
The tiniest Cyberdeck ever.
Yeah.
Nice.
What kind of printer did you get?
What is it? VoxLab?
Yeah, Voxel Lab something.
Is that a resin printer?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was prize for the T-shirt contest.
Oh, nice.
It's a monochrome screen, so it's a much higher detail.
Is it higher detail too?
Yeah. So besides it working faster, you have grayscale. All the other screens can't really do true grayscale. So the gray levels are basically ignored by the software. With the monochrome screen, it actually does grayscale. So it's more like having 4 times the resolution.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, you can pull out some much finer detail from these. Yeah, even though it's still technically a 2K screen, and it's even a larger screen than the others, so your pixel size would be a little bit larger. You really have like 4 times the capability and the resolution. Yeah, so when you're playing in a G2 box and you're looking at the anti-aliasing settings, there's also a gray level setting that you can tweak. And if it's not there, then you just need a newer version.
Is that your first 3D printer, or have you used resin or FDM printers before?
Yeah, I've had the Solidoodle for like 10 years. And then just recently just got a bunch. No FDM yet, though. I'm still working on this Tronxy. Tron XY, whatever.
Have you gotten any prints off of it yet?
No, I put the Big Tree Tech controller in it, and I'm still kind of working on the firmware.
Nice. When you get that working, let me know, because we've got pretty much the same printer, and I'd put that same controller in it.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass, honestly.
Yeah, it usually is. You're trying to adapt all the connectors and, fix someone else's problem.
Well, it's got that ribbon cable on the back,
Yeah.
so you have
How'd
to
you?
rewire the whole thing
Oh,
just entirely, like it's your own thing.
Yeah, that sucks. That was one of the things I was actually wondering about. I was like, what am I going to do with this ribbon connection? Which that can't be a good way to connect it either. Like those wires can barely move any current. I mean, that's the thinnest copper wire you can imagine. It's just standard like IDE cable. It's not even made for this.
Yeah, I did all with like shielded cable. I don't know, it's probably good.
Yeah, I think it might fix some of the problems the printer has by replacing that ribbon cable and just soldering on some jumpers, with the stock controller, just because there's no way that's supplying enough current to the stepper motors.
Oh yeah, I haven't even used it yet, honestly. I
Well,
turned it on once and it just crashed, and I was like, okay.
Crash straight into the bed, right?
Yeah, no, into the limit switch wasn't working, so I need to still work on firmware.
On your first print with it, it also will crash straight into the bed with the stock controller because it went out with a misconfigured firmware. So the very first thing you got to do is update the firmware. Now, they don't say that anywhere on the website. There's no mention of it. But after digging around, trying to find out why it crashed and broke the print bed, the mount for it, where the bearings connect to the rods for the Z-axis, totally snapped them from driving it into the nozzle. So, that was a fun way to start.
Yeah, I saw on the Amazon reviews, like people with their beds, just a big scrape through their beds.
Oh yeah, that's what the other side of my flexible build plate looks like. It just dug straight through it. Even worse because it had a hardened steel nozzle on it, so it cut into the metal too. Yeah, anyone out there watching, don't buy a Tronxy. They're shit. They make the worst 3D printer, and they violate the GPL licensing for open source. They use firmware and don't release the source and don't tell anyone how to, modify it, fix it. If they just released it, we could all, go in, rewrite it, fix things up. But no. So, yeah, don't support them.
You know what I found out was actually cool is the iFactory 1 that I bought is basically the Tronxy design, just at 45 degrees.
Oh, interesting. Oh, right. You were talking about the belt printer you got.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gotten it yet.
Well, waiting on it.
Yeah, it's basically the same design. It's kind of weird.
I think they're all copies of a Creality design. I mean, everyone ends up copying whatever the most successful printer is of that year.
yeah, I didn't know there would be so many clones that fast because I guess Creality, I know they were in like a Kickstarter for their belt one for a while. That seems pretty new that the release happened. But yeah, it's funny other people are doing it too. I think it's all off. What was it called? The White Knight or something? Was this guy's source project? Was the first one?
And previous to that was the belt printer from PrinterBot, which they're back now too. I don't know if they're going to do the belt printer still, but PrinterBot closed up a while back, and they're coming back with their the Printer Simple. It's like a really strange kind of movement on it. Uses like a couple arms that cross and move the nozzle back and forth.
Okay, I've been seeing more and more of those around lately too.
What do they call it? It's a Scara arm. I think that's
right.
Man, the belt printer though, that one really, I'd like that. I think that could be fun. Just line up a dozen prints and just let it go.
Yeah. Probably. I don't know. I don't have one.
Yeah, I mean, if it works well enough, you could just have your own print shop. Be automated enough to really make it, maybe make it profitable.
Yeah, that's like one of their pitches.
I mean, it makes sense too. If you had your machine running all the time, and then you could always just drop in a print you want to do for yourself right into the print queue, and just keep it going. Get some of those 3 kilogram spools of plastic.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name, but he's working on that software to like the web interface. I forget what it's called.
So reading some of the comments here.
Better than mining for cryptocurrency. You just have a machine on that just collects money and spits out designs.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that with the laser cutter I just got. You can actually make some pretty cool stuff with it, and it's pretty fast too. So, maybe the Cyberdeck Cafe will be getting some keychains or something.
Yeah, I saw Send Cut Send is drop shipping now too, which is kind of cool.
Who's that?
Sendcutsend.com.
Haven't seen it.
They just like laser cut a bunch of stuff, and they just supported like a whole bunch of new materials and drop shipping, whatever that means to them. But
oh, nice. Yeah, I've always wanted to have a laser cutter, and I've got FDM, I've got resin, I've got a CNC mill that's garbage, but still does something. But the laser, that is just fun. Got to build a box for it though. It just is kind of the bare unit. Just picked up a new pair of laser safety goggles. Don't use the ones that come with it. Just get a good pair to start with, and when you're playing with a laser, you can only make 2 mistakes. Left eye, right eye.
Safety squint.
Yeah. So definitely get a good pair, which is funny because the laser's only like $400 and the goggles are $50, so it's a good chunk of the price. But let's see. I've got one thing here that I cut out. It is mirrored, unfortunately. Not really sure how that happened, but this is the artwork from the center of the Black Knight pinball machine. And this is some 3mm black acrylic, which I just fired up for a little test cut. I was careful though. I just started it up and put it in a locked room and went somewhere else. Don't really want to be breathing the acrylic fumes either.
Yeah, that'd be cool for those like wings like you got back there. Can't you like laser cut that foam that's made of?
Probably.
Oh yeah, you could do balsa and stuff too.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice too, just for doing patterns. If you don't have some other kind of a CNC cutter, then you could cut out your paper templates and patterns, and definitely got a lot of things I want to build with it.
Yeah, I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, definitely. I think the next thing I would get would be a little CNC machine, though. Did you say you had one of those too?
Yeah, I had one of those little ones. They're based off like the 2020 extrusion. They're a decent enough kit. Really, the only thing wrong with it is the controller board it comes with is not very good, and then the software that you're going to run with it. There's some decent options out there. There's some really crappy ones. It's not very useful on Linux. There's absolutely no good CNC software for Linux. So you got to at least run, a Windows box or boot up into one when you need to. Someone out there in the comments is going to disagree with me, but Linux CNC is garbage.
Heard
They're very-
Flatcam is pretty good.
Flat cam.
Yeah, I think it's for PCBs, but I'm sure it'll work for pretty much anything that's flat.
What I use is Shape OK. They have a cloud-based slicing program, or whatever you want to call it, the toolpath generator. Very easy to use. It's free, and you can export it to then import the file into any machine. It doesn't have to be one of theirs. So that's a pretty nice way to go.
What's that called?
Shape OK.
Shape OK.
Pretty sure that's the one. It's been a while since I've used it.
Because I've got one of those too, a 3018.
Yep.
And I have not made anything on it yet.
The Amazon special, $150 or something.
Yeah, you can't afford not to buy it.
You mentioned circuit boards. That's exactly what I would want to use it for.
Yeah, I mean you can mill out a PCB, but very badly.
Oh, really?
The problem is that you have the kerf of the cutting bit, and copper wears out the bits pretty quickly too. So yeah, it's not great. You're much better off just sending out to have the thing etched from a shop.
Mm. All right. Yeah, just prepared to give that a try. Been right before I came on here, I was working on my first board design ever. So gonna give
Really?
that a shot. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done one. Like very long time. Last time was like in high school, and did a memory stick duo adapter for the PSP, so that you could go from the smaller card to the larger card, because back then there wasn't a very large capacity.
That wasn't an SD card, was it?
No, it was the Sony format that died out, the Duo
Right. Before the SD
memory
card.
stick. Yeah, it was memory stick, and then memory stick Duo was the small version of it.
It's like a quiz question.
Yeah, what is this, trivia night? Which would also be pretty fun to do on here. One of the things I was thinking we could try out. We can fit 10 people on total. If you have another thing you're showing on screen, that counts as a seat. So we could, we could manage to get at least 8 people in for a, pub quiz. Maybe make it a sci-fi theme.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see if anyone else is ready to jump in. And thanks for joining in too. I know the half-hour last-minute call is tough for some people. No time to do the hair and makeup.
Yeah.
I walked back in the room right at 8 o'clock because just picked up some beer and pizza. And it's like, I'm going to be late to my own stream. Then I remembered that I can't be late to my own stream because all you guys have to wait for me. So.
Yeah, next time I'll have to set up so I'm not just like a wash in the blue glow of my television here. Looking like a Smurf on TV.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get some lighting figured out in this room. Video is not something I do often. Hey, James, do you have any of your previous decks around?
No.
The entry from 0 Days?
No, I disassembled it many times.
Yeah. Yes, I do the same thing a lot. I've been trying not to lately, trying to just like leave stuff built, but that's hard to do. As evidenced by my desk that's just littered with pieces, which you can't see because of the way it's cropped right now.
Yeah. The last one was the one with the analog stick.
Oh yeah. Wait, you already took that one apart?
Like I had like the pouch cell, and the thing was like a little bit too small, so it was kind of like pressing on the pouch cell a little uncomfortably.
Mm.
Ooh.
Do you have the case of it? Do you have part of it?
Yeah, but it's like spaghetti. I can show you. It's
Let's see the part spaghetti.
it's part spaghetti. But it's all right still. Yeah, it's
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's what most of my Cyberdecks end up looking like.
yeah.
You know, each one is just another prototype. You know, get a little bit closer to something that's more presentable. I've shown the Pi 4000 a little bit on last week's stream, and it's even more disassembled now. But
That's the opposite of how it's supposed to go, though, isn't it?
yeah, pretty much. I don't know exactly what happened. I tried booting it up last night, and the screen wouldn't turn on. I was just like, all right, I guess I forgot to plug in the cable or something. Not really sure what happened there, but it's like, you know what? It's late. I'm too tired. I don't care right now. I have been starting work on how to power your Cyberdeck series. Last night I plugged in all of the different LCD screens I have, at least all the HDMI screens, and just used this little meter here, a little tester, and just took a power reading, voltage in, wattage, and it's kind of nice to see exactly what it's going to take to power the thing, so you can budget for it and figure out your runtime. Of all these things I'm building, I want it to work for at least like 5-6 hours, or if it's less useful than my laptop, then I'm never going to actually use the thing. So figure I got to at least get the run times to match or beat it, so I have a good reason to actually bring the thing with me. So yeah, started testing them out. Actually, kind of surprising results. A bunch of these screens I got, they just sip power, and like the screen here that's in the Pi 4000, that thing's just a power hog. It's like a full amp at 5 volts for a 7-inch screen, and then I've got like a 13-inch screen that takes 300 milliamp at the same brightness.
Wow.
Like, I don't know what they did wrong on it, but that thing just cooks. It gets hot too, which is kind of annoying. Like, it actually, gets uncomfortably high if you're just holding the screen.
Yeah, I mean, there's your power.
Right. There's a PWM pin on the back. I haven't tried it, but you're supposed to be able to adjust the brightness on the screen, but there's absolutely no documentation for it, and I haven't found anyone else that's actually used that function. So yeah, I get to experiment on that from scratch.
Yeah.
Maybe someone that's watching, do you know how to PWM modulate the backlight on a 7-inch UC-Tronics display? All 5 of you out there, let us know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe.
Guess I would just plug it into a RC airplane transmitter and see if that PWM did anything to it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Or maybe a fan speed controller. I think I've got one of those around here for the computer. Yeah, it'd be
Right.
nice to get that working because I'm sure it'd be a lot better if, got that dialed down a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's cool you're doing that test. I was really worried how much power my screen and everything would take up, and it was really tough to find any kind of voltage converter that seemed like it would give any kind of good overhead over the Pi.
Right. What did you end up using for powering your Cyberdeck?
I had a bunch of 18650s around, so I wanted to use them up. I wanted to do them all in parallel, so it would just be like single cell voltage with the 4 volts.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't find any boost converters that would get me to the 5 volts that would handle any good amount of amps. So I ended up doing 4 cells, 2 in serial, 2 in parallel, to get me to the 7 volts. And
then you
then
just step down from there.
step down, which those seemed easier to find.
Yeah, it's
But-
more efficient anyway.
Yeah, but then charging gets to be an issue. You want to do some kind of a balanced charge if you have multiple cells. So I have a little USB drone battery charger that I took apart and put in there. So it's got a little micro USB slot here that plugs into that. But it was really cheap, and I don't know how long I trust it for.
So it does the 8.4 volt charging, and it does the balance charging, but it will take a 5 volt input.
Yeah. So almost
That's
it
cool.
charges slowly. So
Right.
I think it's only an amp or a half an amp. So yeah, it must have its own slow boost in there.
That's interesting though. I've still been working on how am I going to power up a Intel NUC. So it needs like 12 to 19 volts. And I think I've narrowed it down to a couple good choices. Probably going to end up doing a 4S battery pack, and then just use a generic laptop power supply for charging with this little controller board that is available on Tindy. It's kind of pricey, but you start adding up all these other options, and it's probably going to end up being cheaper just to buy this one board. No voltage conversion needed at all because the NUC will run off the 19 to 12 volt. So as the batteries drain, you'll be good right down until maybe like you get about 10% battery capacity, and the voltage is going to drop below the 12 volts. So that might end up being a problem, if you're actually running anything at 12 volts. And then for all the 5 volt stuff, I'm just going to use the onboard conversion for USB equipment. It can already output quite a few watts at 5 volts. So just tap into that directly to power up like the screen and whatever else I need to.
Nice. Yeah, that makes it easy, man. That sounds cool.
Yeah, the controller board, it's basically just a programmable charger, which can do 2S, 3S, or 4S. So yeah, I mean, it looks good. It's one more thing to learn how to program the firmware for it, but oh well. Doesn't look like it's too hard.
Oh, the charger requires programming?
Yeah, you actually have to set it for what you're plugging into. So you can set the battery capacity, the charge rate, the number of cells, and the low voltage cutoff. You can adjust that. So like for my use, I'd want the cutoff at 3 volts. The cells will last longer, and I won't have to worry about an under voltage situation.
Oh, cool.
And they normally cut off at like 2.7 volts, which just destroys the cells. I don't know why everyone does this.
Yeah, it's pretty low. So you can set it to whatever you want. I'm gonna have to get you to send me a link to that. That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, since we're talking about, post it here in the chat.
I brought up the power in the Ready 100 Discord today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone over there wants to use Nooks. And I remember in the Virtcon thing, you were saying power is kind of depressing or whatever.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's like it's expensive and difficult, and everyone has a different idea of what they want it to do or need it to do.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like getting the ball rolling over there. That it's like probably the hardest thing to do.
No, I haven't actually stopped into that into the Discord. I probably should since I did back it.
Yeah, it's cool over there. It's all right. It's cool having like a bunch of people like working on basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's still definitely some answers that need to be given. Like exactly what kind of custom board are they doing? The last update I got, there's a lot of custom options that are being offered, which would be really cool if it's doable, but that's also a lot more work for the guy to have all these extra choices, extra options. Hopefully it doesn't get overloaded from the workload there.
Yeah.
I'll have to find this and then post it later because there's so many things on Tindy now that it's actually hard to find the specific thing anymore. Remind me though, I'll post a link later on. Sorry, James, what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, I think what I'm gonna do is like a USB PD translator to like a 4 SBMS.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's that thing someone posted like yesterday. It was like $60 on Tindy. It's like basically the same thing.
Oh yeah, that's the same one.
Yeah, but you can get like a translator and a 4 SBMS for like $20 or something.
Right, and then the only real difference there is not being able to program in any specific parameters on it, other than voltage.
Like low voltage cutoff, yeah, probably
right. Yeah, the USB PD is an interesting interface. It does everything in theory when it works.
Have you tried it?
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff that you really have to use it on, or you don't really get the wattage you need. And I've got one little portable battery pack that actually has USB PD on the output, but it's limited to just 12 volts. Not all of them go up as high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the main thing that annoys me with it is just there is no real standard. It's, it supports whatever you implement in the hardware. USB PD doesn't have to support like a 20 volt output or 15 or 12 or 9 and 5. It could just support one specific thing. I think they all will do 5 volts, and then how high up in voltage it goes depends on the parts they used.
Yeah, I haven't played with it myself.
Have you found a board yet that you're thinking of trying?
There's a few on Amazon.
Yeah, I found a couple. There's one that looks pretty good. At least you can select like the output voltage, and in theory, it will hold that selection forever. What worries me is that if the board ever malfunctions and just decides to output 19 volts when it needs to be outputting 5, then it's going to kill whatever I've plugged into it. I'd rather buy one that is specifically listed as only outputting a certain voltage set from the factory instead of, whatever procedure you go through to set it yourself. Or it'd also be nice if it just had different terminal blocks on it, each one for whatever voltage you wanted.
Yeah.
Especially if it could output multiple voltages at the same time at a decent current rating.
Can it do that?
Well, you could. So you could just have, say you wanted 12 volt and 5 volt, the most commonly used thing for the stuff we're building. You would set USB-C to output at 12 volts, and then you'd have a built-in converter to drop it to 5 volts as well.
Yeah.
So, the USB-C standard, it wouldn't be doing it itself so much as you'd just be, making use of that 12 volts coming out.
Yeah, and just bucking it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually I asked someone at Adafruit if they could have a look into making a power supply that could do 12 volts output. They make one of the breakout boards for the fuel gauge IC, which is pretty much the easiest way to read your battery level. SparkFun also has one, and then you can buy the bare IC and make your own, but it's like VGA soldered, so it's a whole nother level of difficulty having to do the ball grid array.
Good luck.
Yeah, not saying I want to tackle when there's a $10 board available from 2 different stores and they're both virtually the same. Plus, you have to program it. The firmware that's involved is pretty complex. If you buy one, for instance, off Amazon, it's like a cheap knockoff, and it will not work because they haven't put the effort into the firmware. And it's not the official one from SparkFun either, even if it's listed as it's a fake. Because Amazon's good about selling quality, genuine products.
Yeah.
So
Definitely no fake Nikes on there.
Display built in, or do you have to? Does it output it as some sort of data so you can pick it up on something else?
So it's just a I2C output on it, and it handles all of the math involved with. I think it counts the current. So I think it. Don't quote me on that. I think it counts the current, so it just keeps track of how much power should be available left.
Oh, cool.
So it should read the battery capacity by using it a couple times, and then just keep track of it, so it knows when it's charging or when it's discharging, or it's either that or it just goes off the voltage curve, which is really really minimal until it suddenly drops when it's at 0, or when it's at 0 capacity, not voltage.
Yeah. I've got one of those on my boat that tracks you charge it to 100% and say, hey, this is 100%, and then you drain it all the way to 0, and it just kind of knows.
For a remote control boat?
No, for I have a sailboat.
Oh, nice.
That it works really good. It uses one of those dissimilar metal things.
Peltier junction?
I forget what it's called. But it's across the negative.
Yeah, actually you bring up boats. When I've been looking at different charge controllers and stuff, a lot of marine hardware comes up. I guess lithiums are used on boats now too for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I've got
Does yours? Yeah.
Yeah. At 48 volts.
Wow, what do you need 48 volts for on a sailboat?
I had an electric motor on it.
Okay.
And solar. For the higher voltages. It's lower amps.
Right.
You have the boat in the water?
Oh man, it's cold.
Yeah, you take it out to overwinter.
Yeah. It is so cold right now.
Yeah, what part of the world are you in?
I'm in New England, Connecticut.
Oh yeah, that's
Ooh,
chilly.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad complaining about it being 60 degrees out at night.
Yeah, it's 25 right now, apparently. It's not too bad.
Yeah, t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from anyone in the stream? Let's see, we got 2 different chats going. Got the Discord channel and YouTube. Anyone? Yes? No? Preferably no.
I haven't been following the chat, so we got.
Yeah, I'm not good at multitasking on these. I need to add a couple extra monitors to my setup here. So if anyone is still watching, I haven't actually looked to see if anyone's even joined in. We're going to be doing this every week. Anyone is welcome to join. There'll be a curtain call, right before we go live. So anyone can just jump in right until the last minute. And even once we're going to, you can still ask for the link. We'll try and keep these to around an hour to 2 hours every week. Not go too long. I got stuff I got to do myself, And it's going to start at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Should be pretty good for everybody, unless you're on the other side of the planet. In that case, sorry, maybe we'll do a second stream at like 3 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So it's the morning for you. But yeah, the Thursday nights at the Cyberdeck Cafe. I think we'll wrap this one up for tonight. Thanks for being on. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah,
sometime.
Keep going. We'll keep these weekly streams going. Just something informal. Jump on, hang out, and if anyone wants to be on, just a one-on-one chat. If you want to really show off a specific project you're working on, we can do that too. But yeah, this will just be our hangout. Might as well. We're all stuck here with COVID now anyway. At least for the time being, until we get to do a real Virtcon in person.
Or if you're in Texas.
Right. Yeah, well, being in Texas won't stop you from catching COVID.
If it was in person, would it still be Virtcon? Would it be RealCon or?
IRL Con.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. So who's left in here? Ryan Young, Cyber Buffalo. Hey, Captain Numbnuts. Welcome. I can't say your username without laughing. And Blasto, I think you already dipped out. Ral Nareen. All right. See you guys later.
See ya.
Good night.